Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. Before we get started, I've got to ask a question. What if your worst moment, your worst sin, was captured and broadcast to the entire world? Because it happened this week, and unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that a guy by the name of Andy Byron was captured on video on a kiss cam at a Coldplay concert with someone that was not his wife, obviously his affair partner, and it has blown up and gone viral. So lots of reaction from all over the world about this. And so we just thought that today, on today's episode, that we could share a little bit of our perspective because we've been in that painful and messy situation. And maybe we can just give our response to it, and maybe it can help you guys as you process and you respond to that as well. Before we go any further, though, I want to make sure that everybody knows about our two unbelievable resources that we put on our website this week. So the last 2 weeks we've been talking about romance, and I asked Heather 10 questions about romance, and then she turned around the next week and asked 10 questions of me. And now you can go to our website, and up on the top there's this great banner that our web designer put together, and you can click on the questions for him or the questions for her, and you can get those sent right to your inbox, and it's amazing. So make sure you do that this week, and that'll be a great resource for you and your spouse. The only other thing that I want to mention before we jump into today's episode is we would love for you guys, if anyone is considering marriage coaching, we have released our calendar for the fall, and we'll be starting back on August the 18th. And so our spots fill up really fast. I know that there's quite a few of you on a waiting list that we have already sent to, but right now it's kind of wide open. So we've had some that have already begun to sign up, but we want you to be aware of that. So if you're just listening and you're like, oh, I didn't even know about this, you can just go to our website, and there's a spot on there about marriage coaching, and you can fill out a little form, and it'll shoot it to us, and we'll give you our calendar, and we can get rolling. So our favorite thing to do, and we're about to kick it back off. All right, so Heather, basically the story is this. The CEO of Astronomer, I believe it's a tech company. I haven't done a lot of research, but his name is Andy Byron. He was at a Coldplay concert. The kiss cam pops up, shows him hugging on a woman that is not his wife. She is actually the HR director for the company, and they did not play it off very well. He ducked and tried to hide. She turned her back.
And covered her face.
Covered her face. The Coldplay, the singer,
he didn't know.
Yeah, he didn't know, but he even said they're either having an affair or
they're really shy.
And then, oh my goodness, it blew up.
And somebody was just recording and thought they had captured a funny response to the kiss cam, so they posted it, and then it went nuts.
And so, like, we don't usually do like current event type things on here, but this one hit really close to home. And as we started seeing all of the response and just what's happening on social media, we had our own private, I guess, response and how and emotions that it brought up. And we thought, hey, well, they're private, but we can make them public so you guys know how we responded. And I just think it might help with some perspective. The first thing that I want to say is this. I don't want, if any of you out there have done the funny little, memes and stuff where you've taken a picture of you, and I mean, there's lots of stuff. You guys have seen it. We don't want to shame anybody for how they've reacted to this, because everybody has a different response and stuff. But we just kind of want to share the emotions that it kind of brought up within us, because we have lived through that, and we have obviously not viral and that public, but ours was public, and so we had to kind of walk through some of those emotions. But what I thought I would do first, or what we could do, when you saw it for the first time, I mean, and just be completely honest, when you saw it for the first time, what was your first reaction?
Honestly, my first reaction was, oh shoot, like that poor guy. Like I just was like, that poor guy just got exposed. That was just my first response was, and it really wasn't, it didn't hit home right at first.
Yeah.
Like it didn't hit the heartstrings right at first. I really had to start, I really thought about it for a minute, and then all the emotions came along with that. But the first reaction was, it wasn't funny. Like I didn't go, that's hilarious. It just was like, uh-oh, he got busted.
Yeah.
That was my first kind of thought.
Well, I saw it. We were traveling, and I saw it. You were actually already in the bedroom where we were staying, and but we were with our son, and his girlfriend was actually traveled with us too this weekend to go see him. And so I saw it first, and they were still up, and we were talking and stuff. And I said, "Did y'all see this?" And I think they had caught a glimpse of it, but it had just started going viral, and we together kind of laughed about it and was like, oh man, like that's awful.
Embarrassing.
That's embarrassing. But it didn't take long for it to really trigger me and really sting a little bit, just because it brought back so many emotions and stuff. And so, now it's like you can't even get on social media without it being the first thing that kind of pops up. And so it's just kind of over and over and over. And so as it's happened, and everything that's come from it, and all of like ballparks across the country are doing their own Coldplay cam.
Yeah.
There's T-shirts being made. It's all sorts of stuff. And so as that was happening, I was like, man, there's a lot more to this. And like, I get it that people's first reactions, some people are like, well, he got what he deserved. That is an initial reaction that is not...
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yes, and that's not wrong.
Right.
That's not a wrong response. I think that some people, have thought, how funny their reaction and response to it was. I don't blame people for, that's funny that they tried to hide, and they, how are you going to get out of that?
Right,
that kind of thing.
And then trying to problem solve. If they had just played it off and were like, hey, and danced, nobody would have known the difference. It wouldn't have been put on social media,
Yeah. And so there's all kinds of, and I do think that a big response too has been, how stupid. Like, how could you be so stupid to go to a public place like that when you're having an affair and you are a known person, because this guy is apparently extremely wealthy and owns this company. And so I don't know if he just thought, I can go and get away with it and take somebody that's not my wife on a date. I don't know, but I know that that's people, they're going, how stupid can you be? So when you...
Well, and it looked like they were in a suite of some sort. I may be wrong, but it looked like they were in a suite of some sort. And then I'm like, were they with people that they knew, that knew they weren't married?
Right.
There's just a whole lot we obviously don't know about it.
So it ended up, I don't know if you know this, but he issued a statement. I know you know this part. He issued a statement and basically apologized to his family and the company that he works for and all that. But then so awkward to not really own up to it by almost, not blaming Coldplay, but a little bit, because it was like...
It's a shame that I can't go to a private event, something like that, and keep things private.
Or go to an event and have... But he wasn't at a private event. He was at a public
you're right.
event.
To an event and...
not keep my privacy or not have my privacy.
Keep my privacy. Yeah. That's what he said.
So all of that, and then he ended up, he resigned. So,
he did?
Yes. I did see that today that he resigned, and the lady was let go as well. So anyway, lots of fallout. So as we started thinking more and more about it, I felt like people that are so wrapped up in it and have all these different emotions, I do think that there's some perspective from a couple like us that has lived through mess and pain and can kind of see all angles of it. And maybe it'll give a little bit of perspective to people, but also, I don't know, we can put a spin on it also that provides hope and redemption as well. So yeah, this is just a conversation. I mean, we have talked literally 5 minutes about this and what we thought. And so I just want us to kind of hash out our emotions so that everybody can hear that.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting you to ask me what my first reaction was. And as I listened to you talk after, I was like, of course I went straight to poor guy, because that's
you.
That was me. And I didn't really think about that until after I answered. But I'm sure that we have listeners that when I said poor guy, they were like, poor guy, like, because once you really think about it, I mean, poor guy, really? I mean, it was his choice, right? I mean, like, I get it. And it was my choice. But I think I just sympathized with him like it was crap. I mean, his whole world just got exploded. And whether he deserves that or not is not the point. It's tragic. Yeah. I mean, it was, I do. I feel sorry for him. I, of course, feel really sorry for his wife and children. Like, that's the part that's just heartbreaking to me. But there is this part of me that is just, I hate that his sin was just exposed for the entire world to see. Like, I thought ours was bad just right here in our community. But, I mean, it's worldwide. Nobody, you said he was well known. He was probably in his little corner of the world, or whoever follows that type of business. But now everybody knows who he is. And that's what's so hard to me is, like, his kids, and whether he was in a public place. But, like, when you run for president, your children are going to be in the limelight. That's your choice. Like, it's like, here I go. But he didn't choose to put his children's lives in the limelight by what he was doing. But
by his occupation.
By his occupation. Like, he didn't knowingly say, oh, I'm going to do this. Right. But yes, he did choose to go into a public place, and that's, part of it.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect. But there's also this part of me that just wants to say, guys, like, things that are in the dark will come to light. They just will. They will. In my story, in his story, in 0.9% of the people we talk to, it's already come to light, because that's what happens. And then in that other 0.1% that I walked with a girl who was like, I told her, you better tell him. She was like, no, I can keep it. It came to light. So there's not one situation that we've walked through with people that it wasn't brought into the light. And so I just think that for me, that was my first response, was poor guy. And I just hurt for his family. I hurt for them. I hurt for this publicity that he didn't choose to have.
Well, and I think that some people or probably would listen to this, and when they hear you say poor guy, not a lot of people can identify with that or relate to that. And it probably even brings a little bit of, maybe people could be a little bit mad that you would even say that, because nobody really has much sympathy for what, again, his choice.
That's right.
We get it. And of course, for me, on my side, I'm like, wow, what about his wife?
Right.
And what about his kids? And the lady he was with, I believe, was divorced, but she has kids. And so, and then the company and their friendships and all of that. And I just think about all that. But really what I think about is the humiliation of his wife and his kids. And I think that because that was me, and that's what I had to live through. And so when I think about him, though, and I do now, I can think, man, I feel bad. I do feel bad for him, but I don't feel bad that he got caught.
Correct.
Or nor do I feel bad, that his sin was exposed.
Right.
Because I believe that, and you'd never want it to be public like that. And I hate that people are, continuously making fun of the situation and things like that. But if we know that in situations like, the bottom line is I don't know anything about these people and their faith. Nothing.
Sure.
But they are children. They are created by God in the image of God. And he is constantly pursuing those people. All of the people that are involved, he's pursuing them. And so the showing this sin, exposing this sin, while it's heartbreaking and it's painful and it's messy, it also, just like in our case, it can be the thing that forces them or allows them to come to a place where they find their need for God.
Right.
And so, like, when I think about, well, what good can come from something like this now that everybody's just making a mockery of it in a lot of ways and everybody's having fun with it? And again, no shame if that's you, because we all have responses to that we have emotions and feelings. But what is it that can happen? Well, the big thing is, what if there was a redemption story out of this? What if this guy, what if they don't split up? I mean, most people are like, oh, leave him, oh, she's going to be filthy rich now.
I said that to
you. Oh,
you.
yeah, you said it.
I did.
And we did. Like, there's a part of us that's like, oh, he's going to get what he deserves and that kind of thing. But then, I mean, what if this whole thing was twisted and turned around to where they stayed together, they had a redemption story, and their redemption story was like ours?
Right.
I mean, imagine what they could do with a story like that. And look, God is big enough.
Sure.
I know that to be true. God is big enough. And then I also think, what about all these people that watch this and see this, and their initial reaction and response is, oh, I can't, what an idiot. How stupid can you be? And then they go, wait a second, that could have been me. Or wait a second, I am doing something, maybe it's not infidelity, but I am doing some things that if it was exposed, it would ruin my life. And if people can see this and it makes them change their heart because they see how painful and destructive sin can be, then that's good that comes out of it. Right. That's something that can be good that can come out of it.
That's right. That's right. I just think about like the image that we've all seen hundreds of times by now of the circle, of it being shown on their faces. And like that was a moment that they want to relive, I'm sure. I mean, they probably would not choose to do that again. But I just think about what if in our lives, just out of the blue, there was a spotlight on our deepest, darkest sin. Like as you're listening to this, think about what is it in your life that you're hiding, or you're contemplating hiding, or that you have hidden in the past, or you think maybe I will. That if that was a spotlight in that moment for the whole world to see, what that would feel like. And, I think back to 14 years ago almost, where it was probably hundreds of people that saw our story. And I'm sure there were people who made fun of it.
Sure.
And made fun of me and made fun of you for staying. And talked behind our backs and made fun of us and all of that. Like, I know that to be true. But it's the reason why the spotlight is so big now on where we've come from it. Because the only thing right now that is getting a spotlight is the bad, the sin. And the enemy loves that. I mean, it's giving a picture of marriage that the enemy would love for the world to think is normal. And so for them or anybody to say, hey, like, this is not right. And if there was brokenness there, like, I think you asked me today how I felt about his letter. And the part that just rang so true is the ending, not true, but resonated with me was the ending where he started blaming other people. And 2 days out, I was doing the same thing. I mean, I was trying to blame everybody but taking ownership of it. Like, I wanted it to be somebody else's fault, because the fact that it was my fault and that I had done that destruction to us and to our family, it was too heavy. It was like, I can't own that right now because it was too heavy. And so, sorry, I'm sniffing all up in the microphone. But then once I was broken, and once Jesus got my attention and was like, hey, this is what it looks like for you to live alone. Now I want you to trust in me and let me carry this for you. And so then when he changed me and changed my heart, and I saw who I was without him, and I just see that same spotlight, and I feel those people's embarrassment of just, let me cover my face, let me duck, let me just get out of this situation. And so I feel that, but then it's like, and so I know the feeling of, I can't carry this alone. But then it's like Jesus came and said, I've got this. Like, let me carry this for you. And then I was able to take ownership of, I did that. It wasn't that it was spotlighted. It wasn't that I was caught. It wasn't that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was, I did this. This was my choice. And then you take ownership of it and apologize and do the hard work. And like you said, I don't know what's going to happen with this couple. I am praying that somebody is coming alongside them and is pointing them to Jesus, because God's the only one that can redeem this. He's the only one that can redeem their marriage and their children. I mean, I think about their poor children who are, you know how teenagers, I don't even know how old their children are, but you know how teenagers are just naturally embarrassed.
I think they're old. I'm not old. I think like 18 and 20, maybe.
But
I could be completely wrong. But
teenagers are just naturally ashamed of, embarrassed of your family.
Right.
And so I'm sure they're, just want to crawl under a rock. And so I just am praying for the people to come alongside them and be kind and just treat them like Jesus would.
Yeah, it's compassion. And I think that if we had to encourage our listeners, it would be to have compassion. And, we were sang a song at church this morning that said, if it's not good, then God's not done. And so, I believe that God can do something good. We've already mentioned a couple of things that could happen that are good, and we may not ever see that. But as I was thinking, we may not ever see what good comes of it, but God's going to use it for his glory. And I would ask our listeners, let's just assume that, okay, this is, you said it, it's a spotlight. And the whole world, literally. If you're on any type of social media, you've seen it. It doesn't matter what country you're in, you have seen it. So the whole world has the opportunity to know this. It's a massive spotlight on them. Let's just say that somewhere along the line that they choose to heal and restore their marriage and they choose to stay together. I'm just curious, but how many of our listeners would say, yeah, I would want to know that? Probably everybody, right?
Yeah. Follow-up story.
Chances are we may never know that because these people they're gonna go into a hole as best they can and hope to never come out. But if people ever wonder why we tell our story so publicly, and adamantly want to share it with people, that's why. Because the spotlight, all we're ever going to remember about this couple and about Andy Byron is that he cheated on his wife and got caught in a public situation. And if we never hear anything else about his story, that's if you bring up that name, that's all you're ever going to know.
That's right.
And 10 years from now, he may still be with his wife, and we may not ever know it. And that's why I believe that it's so important that we shine the spotlight on redemption instead of the story and the scandal and the pain and the mess. Because now it's a redemption story, and why would we not want everybody to know that? And so I think that it's important to know that if it's not good, that just means God's not done with it yet.
Right.
And there's another part of this song that says joy comes in the morning. And so we're just waiting on what is it. And so I want to challenge our listeners to pray for this family. Pray for both families. And pray for them. Pray for God to work a miracle. Like, how incredible would that be for God to restore and redeem this marriage and to capture their hearts so that then all of a sudden they start telling people about a God that rescued their marriage and healed their marriage, a marriage that nobody thinks is going to survive. Nobody. And so that's my challenge to our listeners. The other thing that I kind of want to end with, I guess, is this. So many people have thought, how stupid can you be? Like, that was so stupid. Why would you go to a public place and take your affair partner? I mean, like, anybody could have seen them. I don't know all the circumstances. But I think that this is a warning to so many people that are dabbling in sin, and you're just flirting with slipping down that slippery slope, whatever it might be, whether it's infidelity or something else in your life. And I'm just telling you, and you can answer to this as well, but sin will make you do stupid things that you never dreamed or thought you would do. I can promise you, this guy never, if he's got kids 20 and 18, he didn't dream on his wedding day that one day he was going to show up at a concert with another woman and be exposed for the entire world to see. But sin will make you do stuff that you never thought you were capable of doing.
Yep. And our pastor says all the time that sin will take you further than you want to go. Help me.
Cost you more than you want to pay.
And there's one more.
Yeah, something else. But
yeah, but that's the gist of it, is that you don't ever start out thinking you will go that far. Like, you never, like, that's the point. Sin will take you further than you thought you would go. You ever thought you would go, and cost you more than you ever thought you wanted to pay. Like, it's always more than, it's always worse. It's always not what you wanted. It's not what you bargained for.
Yeah.
And so you just think you're going to, like you said, dabble in it a little bit, and that you can keep it under control. You know, we've said before, don't even go to the coffee pot. Like, if there's somebody at the coffee pot that you're getting dressed for in the morning and you think, oh, I just really like the way he looks at me or those words that he says, then you're dabbling. That's taking a step in the wrong direction. And like you said, it's not just infidelity. But I just have a feeling that there's people listening to us. I don't think that everybody who listens to us are hoping for redemption and have been through infidelity already. I know that we have a large following that's their story, but I also know that there's lots of people that listen to us that are just wanting and desiring a better marriage and to stay alert to the things that can destroy a marriage. And this is one of them. It is just being aware. And guys, if you're living in sin in a place, not just infidelity, but in any other thing, and you haven't been spotlighted yet, stop it. Confess that to someone and get help in that area, because it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. Well, I opened this episode with the question, what if your worst sin, your worst moment was captured and broadcast for the whole world? And I think if we all think about that, we'll have a little bit more compassion for people that are caught in situations like this. And rather than throwing the stone, we can be the ones that, even if it's silently praying for them, not that we have to go and put it all over social media and say,
That's right.
quit making fun of it. Because I understand and I get the response that's coming from people, because I had those initial thoughts and reactions, and I've even lived through this. So I understand and I get it. But I do think that we can, behind the scenes, we can go to battle for these people. And as you're doing that battle for your own marriage. Pray for your own marriage. Pray for your own sin and the things that may be keeping you and your spouse from having a relationship that's God-honoring and that's really pointing people to Jesus, because that's our ultimate goal. So thanks for entertaining us today, so we could just, or entertaining our thoughts. You didn't entertain us. You entertained our thoughts so that we could share with you just the reaction and the response that this has caused in us, because I do think it relates to everybody. It's not just something that's on social media that we're looking at from a distance. It's something that we need to all take and look in ourselves and in our own marriages. So, all right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a faithful member of the Redeemed Marriage family, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.